I don't have the time to sit down and bring in AI in my business. And my answer to that is, if you're so busy that you don't have the time to look at the new technology, then that's why you are the prime candidate for AI, because it's going to give you so much time back on your calendar.
Good afternoon, good day, good evening. I don't know what time you're listening or where you're listening from. It's your boy, your host, NaRon Tillman, and you are with me for another episode of Walk in Victory. Speaking of victory, walk.
Warning: this is a public service announcement. The Walk in Victory podcast is where we have conversations purposed to evolve lives. You may not want to evolve. Then tune in to another bleeping podcast. Everyone else, enjoy the show. And here's our host.
Good day, good evening. I don't know what time you're listening or where you're listening from. It's your boy, your host, NaRon Tillman, and you are with me for another episode of Walk in Victory. We are living in some curious times. I don't like to say strange. It's curious times. We're actually living history. Like some years from now, people are going to be looking at this era as one that they're going to measure how our time changed time, so to say. I don't know if I'm saying that clearly, but with the advent of AI, it's kind of like I've been through this twice. This is the second time. The dot-com era, where the computers and everything started going and websites, and it was a big thing when someone got a website for their business and people were just coming around. We've seen the technology boom with cell phones and all those things. And I remember when I was coming up, the cell phones were huge and they was in a case and people were walking around with them. And then who would have thought that the phone would be a place where people consume television and communicate not just verbally, but through text, through email. People can actually work from their phones. In fact, if you get an iPhone, the latest iPhones, people are recording movies from there. And there's so much that's happening within our hand, and we lived through that. But this AI era that we're in, and that is coming out rapidly and constantly changing, is one that will be looked at for years to come, because it can do several things. One of the things that has helped me to do is to automate some of my work, or get some of my ideas flushed out and better. And we have very few moments for those who are resisting AI. Your time is going to be limited. If you're in business, you can't be a resistor, and you can't wait till the end. The more comfortable you get, the more, we're talking about dollars and cents now. The more comfortable you get, the opportunity to make money is there. The opportunity to be a leading voice is there. So there's so many opportunities. And today we're going to discuss AI, automation, and all things business with Aarti. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Oh, thank you for joining us. If you don't mind telling our audience a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
Absolutely. So, my name is Aarti Anand. I build AI automations for businesses. And I have been building software products for almost 15 years now. And in the age of AI, we didn't want to leave behind. We wanted to be in the forefront of building those automations. And, I always say we're living in this age of technology where if you have a Wi Fi connection and a machine, you can basically build any type of business online. And with that type of AI automations that I build, I actually not just have AI and automation streamline the workflows in my business, so I can build the type of business that I want while living the life that I want with my family. But these type of automations also enable other business owners to automate their workflows so they can go live on the beach while their business is running without them.
When we talk about automating workflows, what are some of the things that you have been able to accomplish with automation?
Yeah. So think about all the tasks that you do in marketing in your business. Think about all the tasks that someone has to do as a business owner in lead gen. So I'll take an example. Some people who are running businesses, their channel to acquire new customers is sending cold emails. We have an automation for that. So you don't have to touch the workflow ever again. We basically build the automation. All you have to do is once a month, you bring in your list of leads. It could be 2,000, 5,000. You drop them in a folder, and our automation runs it on autopilot, sending emails. And because of the level of personalization we do with wonderful AI, we're able to get them a high response rates, high positive response rates compared to the other cold email strategies out there. So that's how we're leveraging AI. Think about content creation. We have an automation for that. So these are some of the examples where we're leveraging automation to basically, if you have a workflow on a piece of paper, which you can go train another human being to repeat, we can basically, if there is an SOP internal training, we take that and we train AI to do the same thing, and then you're hands off and you never have to touch it again.
It's funny because um, that workflow automation, people get nervous behind that, but that's really what takes away the thinking. And when we're training our agents or our bots, they really can pick and adapt to your style. I want to really dive into the end user and the capacity that you have to have in order to build an agent like that. What are some of the lessons that you learned, and where did you start to learn these lessons, and how important was it to you, how important was learning prompting and proper prompting for you in order to get that automation together?
Yeah, I love where this conversation is going. So, I want everybody to start with mindset first. AI is a technology, AI
Hmm.
is just a tool. It's not a magic wand, right? Just like computers, there has to be a driver who's telling the computer on what to do. So you write a piece of program, and then it tells the computer what to do. Similarly, AI is sitting there waiting for orders and how to do, what to do, and in what capacity to do. So that's where I want everybody to start is it's a mindset first. The second point I like to really stress upon is you need to have a problem at hand. Otherwise, you're just playing with a bunch of tools without an outcome in mind. So, what is the one pressing bottleneck you have in your business that you would like to get solved? Because if you start there, then you're starting with a problem in mind and then thinking through how I can solve it, and then AI comes in. Could this be used to solve that problem, or AI cannot help us there? And that's how I like to talk to my prospects and clients is starting with a big problem in your business, and then let's figure out what is the best way to solve it and if AI could be a part of that solution or not. So what this does is it gives you a big problem that you're working on, which if gets solved, your business gets to the next level. And third, it'll also start you on a right foot because once you see the ROI on AI automation in one part of your business, it'll encourage you to go and play with more.
Yeah.
But one of the mistakes I see business owners do is they see automation, they see AI, and they see different workflows in their business, and they start automating random things. Then they don't see the ROI, they don't do it the right way, and then they get burned out. So the thing that was supposed to help them get away from burnout, it actually pushed them more towards the burnout.
In my first business, I remember we used to have these big fax machines, and, we finally got a computer, and I was so excited. We had this Dell computer, and it came with all of the blitz, and I just ordering stuff, and that's when you had to upload the programs yourself. But I opened up the computer and I sat there, and it was looking at me, and I was looking at it, and I didn't know what to do with it. And it wasn't going to tell me what to
I
do with
love that.
it. And that's where we are with AI, right? I'm in the process of putting together a book about prompt engineering and showing people the value of
Yes.
understanding prompts, and because that's how you're going to get the results. But aligning prompt engineering, because I'm a mindfulness coach and yoga instructor too, prompt engineering with internal prompts for ourselves. And the better we are at talking to ourselves, the better results that we get. And that's the same thing with AI. The AI is not new. It's just on a computer now. We've always had AI within us. And that's how come people like yourself can look at opportunities and see opportunities and see automation, where some people are like, oh, I'm scared of it. How important was it for you being a developer already in the technology field, and being a woman in the technology field is a kudos to you, right? But how important was that for you already having a blueprint of technology? Do you think that gave you a competitive advantage?
I love where this is going. Yes. So I think anybody who plays with technology, they sort of become early adopters because technology doesn't scare them. They want to see where they can go with it. It's the same thing with any other piece of technology, not just AI. I'll give you an example of cars. One of the things that I really live by is why walk when you can fly. If you could take if you could take a flight to New York, it would take you 3-4 hours. Why would you do a road trip? And again, it's where you're coming from. I'm someone who values my time more than my money. So if I have to spend money to buy back my time, I'm a huge proponent for that. Anybody who values their time would really figure out ways on where to save their time so they can go spend on things that matter to them. Um, and that's one of the motivations why I got into AI and automations is when I look at my daily list of tasks as a business owner, I get overwhelmed. But then if I look at from the lens of technology, can I put a workflow together which I can translate into an SOP or an internal training? And then I can hire someone and pay them to follow those steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they get an outcome that I want. But the trick there is that human being has to sit and do that work over and over and over again, which is also limited by the number of hours that they have in a day. So then, as a technology adopter and lover, I start to think about, well, what tools are there? If I have this SOP, I can just give it to AI, train the agent, and the agent puts it on autopilot. I don't have to do it. Now I have several hours back on my calendar. And anybody who's working on my team, they don't have to do it because it's repetitive. Anything that a human being has to do over and over and over, they are bored. It's boring for them because they've already mastered it. They are ready to level up to another task which would challenge them. That's what human beings, that's how we thrive. So then I put an automation in place. And I think being in technology and writing code and playing with it for so long, I was one of the early adopters who wasn't going to shy away from looking at AI and all the possibilities it can have and all the outcomes I can have in my business. But I actually took it a step further where I'm now building automations for other businesses because I see the value in it and I want them to, as they're building their business, think in workflows and then look at the technology. Let us have automate those workflows and then they can go walk their dog or go work out or run a half marathon because these are the things that AI cannot do for you.
In terms of your voice, to technology? You've been 15 years in the industry, but do you see opportunity on the flip side? Do you see opportunity as being one of the thought leaders? Because that's a whole nother avenue too in AI. Like us having this conversation, you're a thought leader, you're a leader and an expert. But how has those opportunities um come about? How do you see those opportunities coming about for you in the future?
Oh, I love that. Yes. So I'll start from my own family. When my kids see me talk like that, they're already thinking about AI. They're already playing with the tools that I play with. I actually officially hired my son, my 11-year-old, yesterday.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to give him raw footage. He's going to have the CapCut and all other tools. And he's actually gonna make those clips for us that will go and be uploaded on our social media. So he's getting the first-hand experience for it, and he's also gonna get paid for it. And that's again, it's when you lead by example, you also take other people with you. So that's why I said I'm going to start with an example from my own family. And then when you start from there, once you play with the technology, you also know the ins and outs. You also know where it's going to fail, where are the gaps, and then you try to fill those gaps. How it's helping me is being at the forefront of it. I'm also seeing all the wise ways business owners are using technology, and I'm learning from them. And I'm also learning from the mistakes other business owners are
Mm.
making to make sure that other business owners that I work with, they don't make the same mistakes. And that's just building up not our personal brand, one step, one video, one piece of content at a time. But you just think about if you are in the trenches and you are seeing the deep waters on a daily basis, the the silver lining I see here is where our business would be in 2 years from now, compared
Mm.
to, unfortunately, other businesses who are still shying away from it, thinking that AI is still a buzzword and they're not ready for it. And all those objections that I hear almost on a daily basis. I don't have the time to sit down and bring in AI in my business. And my answer to that is, if you're so busy that you don't have the time to look at the new technology, then that's why you are the prime candidate
Yes.
for AI, because it's going to give you so much time back on your calendar.
How in terms of time and timing, in terms of people making excuses, explain to the audience the learning curve, the learning gap in terms of hours out of the week would one have to dedicate to learn if they try to go about it themselves. And which is why you offer a solution that says you don't have to go to school or do all of these things. We can do it for you. Right. So let's look at that. Someone who's sitting in the office right now trying to learn and trying to figure out AI without any kind of guidance. What would you say to them?
Absolutely. So before I answer that, I just want everybody to have this a very gentle reminder. The hours on our day are limited, and as business owners or as human beings on the planet, I always advocate for, you're given one life. You want to make sure you spend every minute of your day on the things that truly bring you joy. So the advice I have for anybody who wants to get into AI is your goal to build solutions for your business and just leave it at that, or your goal is to build solutions and then sell it to other businesses?
Mm,
Because if you're trying to build solutions to sell it to someone else, then let's say you spent 50 hours on building this automation, and then you can charge $2,000 to 10 other businesses, then you're bringing in 20K, and that's your return on your investment on 50 hours on building that automation.
mm,
That's a good case. But If your goal is to build the automation in your own business, well, you already have a job in your business. Why are you buying yourself another job of learning a new tool or learning all the new tools and building that automation? That's how I like to think it. The only reason why I sit down with my team and architect those solutions is because I'm not just going to keep them to myself. I'm actually going to go sell them to other businesses. And that's why the ROI on my time, which is spent in designing those systems, and then the ROI on my team's time, who I'm paying for to build those solutions, that's higher because then we're going to charge that money back and we're going to bring them as cash in building more. So that's my business model. But if anybody else is trying to get into AI, I really want to ask them, what is your goal? Are you trying to automate workflows in your business because you already have a business that has proven its product market fit? Then you just go hire someone like us who has already put in the reps, and maybe we already have the automation built that
Yeah,
you are trying
yeah.
to build in your business. And then if we already have an automation, we can deliver the system to you within 7 days. Then you don't have that learning curve. So learning curve is good, but as long as you can justify the ROI on the number of hours you're spending. So let's say I'm the CEO in my company. My hourly rate, I'm hypothetically saying that out loud, let's say is $500 an hour. If I sit down and do something, which is just check my email, then I'm doing a $10 an hour job where
Mm,
my return on my time should be $500. So I'm
yeah.
costing my business money by doing the task that I could hire an assistant to do. So that's how I look at ChatGPT, other large language models, any other tools out there for that matter. What do they help you achieve? I would really look them just as an assistance, as an interns in your business, just as you would need to train an intern or an assistant for a job. That's how you are doing with ChatGPT or any other type of AI model out there.
A partner of mine and I, we're starting another podcast, co-hosting it together, and it's called Why and How Online, and it's really centered around having conversations about not being afraid of online market, especially in religious settings, right? Where you have a lot of people thinking, that, oh, this is the mark of the beast, or this, they use all of these nuances, religious phrasing, and they're afraid. Where I believe that they should be participating, should be at the forefront of technology, should be at the forefront of innovation, and not late adapters. Because if you're at the forefront of innovation, then you can put your fingerprints on it from the beginning and create stuff that will be friendly towards whatever it is that you look at. Because there's nothing wrong with social media. Your algorithms are only going to provide you content that you already desired to look at. If something is popping up on your phone, it ain't just get there by happenstance. Somebody searched out something, and now they're saying, oh, okay, this is what the person like, and this is what I'm going to put in front of them. And if you start to understand that'll help out. What are your thoughts about clean technology, and why it's important to have everyone's voice, especially in this stage? Because we're still, I mean, this is about 3 or 4 years, but we're still at a foundational level right now, right?
Absolutely. We're at the, people say it's already saturated, social media, YouTube, AI, but no, we're actually at a very infancy right now. So no, we're not late at all. We're actually at the very, 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 very beginning. If you go look at the research and statistical numbers, less than 10%, and I may be even overestimating that number, less than a very small percentage of businesses have incorporated anything related to AI in their business except using ChatGPT for writing emails. So let's just get that out of the way, right? The second question that you asked is, we should be at the forefront, not shying away from it. that one sentiment resonates so deeply with me. And my only message to anybody who's listening to this show today is, as a CEO of your business, it is not just a responsibility, it's your moral duty to be the thought leader that other people on your team will look up to. If you're the person who shies away from new technology, I can't help your team because they're looking at you as the leader. If you're not holding that torch, then unfortunately they're not in good hands. So that's how I want to start. And second, on anybody who thinks social media is bad and you should not be putting your face out there, the only question I have for them, are you opposed of networking or conferences? If you go there and network with people and then you put yourself out there and talk about your business, why can't you do the same thing on social media? All that gives you is that it actually helps you put your business out there and talk about it at scale. Think about one video I put on Instagram today, which gets 5,000 views. Where am I going to go and talk to 5,000 people today sitting in my home? That's the power of social media that I think we're not leveraging, but everybody should be jumping on it right now.
Yeah, and that's those are great points. As a leader, like you're leading by example. You're integrating your family into your business. You're What are some of the things that you've learned that you had to implement into your leadership style, whether it's communication or oversharing or undersharing? But what are some of the things that you've learned?
I think I have two big lessons as I've been doing this for a while now. The first one is you have to trust the people you hire and
Mm,
let them do their job. Because if you like to keep everything here and you have trouble delegating, then you're not a leader. You're basically hoarding things to yourself and you've hired people, but you're not letting them do the job that you hired them for. So delegation, I think, is number one, because that, as a leader, if you know where to delegate and what to delegate at best, then it also gives you a lot of time back on your calendar so you can go think about the things that you're going to do 5 years from now. So that's
mm,
one. Delegation, I think, would be my number one lesson I learned as soon as I stopped working for someone else and I started my own business. I had to learn it the hard way. Where do I want to be? Do I want to be in the business or do I want to be on the business? And if you want to
mm.
be on the business, then first thing you need to do is the art of delegation. So that, I think, has been number one. And second was, which also sort of comes from delegation, is valuing my time more than my money. And if I've made an X amount of revenue, I make sure a big percentage of it goes back into more training, more education, and getting more skill set, which makes me a better leader for my team. So I show up and I serve them better.
Those are two very critical and crucial components, because you don't want to be blockbuster, right? And living in a Netflix
Yes.
world, so you have to constantly be in the forefront. Can you talk about, like, if a person has reached a level of success and they start to, why is important, if they start to lose sight of what's going on around them because they feel like they've reached their height, whether it's a financial thing or a capacity of employees, and they're kind of perched up there and they're like, oh wow, look, I made it. How do you keep yourself grounded from that kind of spirit
Yeah,
or that kind of attitude?
I love that question. I'm going to tie this back to mindset again.
Hmm.
You could have a peak in your career, but then the hardest part is to stay at that level of success. If you are someone who enjoys what you do, then having that success and then stop doing what you're doing, it's going to be hard for you because you genuinely like to show up and do what
Hmm.
you do on a daily basis. And if you enjoy doing it, then it's not work, it's fun, and then you would continue to do it. How that ties back to who I am as a person is I love building systems, I love solving problems. So that's what I am doing on a daily basis. I also love to connect with people and have lots of conversations. So this social time gives me my energy back.
Hmm.
So as long as you know how to audit your time on things that you're doing on a daily basis and only reserve your time and energy in doing either personal development or self improvement or doing the tasks that light you up. For example, I like to build systems and they also print me money. If I only reserve my time for these two things, then I am doing what I truly enjoy and then I don't get tired with it. Everything else, it could be something in sales, it could be something in marketing, it could be something in lead gen. I don't want to do. I would prepare an SOP. I would either delegate, hire a person and then delegate it to them, or I would build an automation and put it on autopilot. And I don't have to touch them. They're not draining my energy, and I'm still able to do the things that I want to do on a daily basis. Then I can stay at that level of success or fulfillment or enjoyment, whatever you want to call it. So that's how I like to think about it.
What was your first hire when you started to? Because we all start. We have an idea. We go and we start working for ourselves, basically. But what was the first when you reached a level and said, "I have to get help. I have to hire somebody."
Yeah. Yeah, I really like how deep that is. So I think when we started, the first contract we landed was for an enterprise customer, and that required that I had a developer on the team. So I used to be that developer 5 years ago. But then somewhere along the way, I also became an engineering manager and then I started my own business. So I knew the product. I also knew what it would take to fulfill that. But I didn't want to sit and do it because it wasn't the thing that was gonna bring me joy as a business owner. So what I did was I hired a developer and he was my ex coworker. So he knew the product. He was a very natural and intuitive choice for the project. So a person who you know is gonna do an excellent job with the description that you're hiring them for. I hired him. He knocked it out of the park, and I, as the CEO of the business, was able to stay on top of it, and then also think about all the other ways that offer could be lifted, and the scope could be better, and then we were able to help our clients sell a bigger vision, which they are now looking at, which would be public news in a few months from now. They are looking at a seven-figure contract with two customers.
See, there you have it. You wasn't afraid to delegate. You wasn't afraid to bring somebody on the team, and having that engineer's mindset and having the developer's mindset, you understand that there are roles to be played, and if we play in a band together, we can make some sweet music. just because you can play every
Exactly.
ins- just because you can play every instrument, you cannot be a one person band because you can't play but one instrument at a time. I thank you
Oh
for
my
this.
gosh, I love how simply you said that. I love that analogy. Very
Thank
well
you.
said.
Thank you. And I really appreciate this conversation. Where can people find you? All of your information is going to be in the description, but if you want to talk about your website or where people can find your information.
Absolutely. So we have our business is called Codenix AI. So our website is www.codenixai.com. I also am on a mission to change people's founders, CEOs, business owners' mindset on why they need to think like an AI first CEO, meaning you are a CEO who thinks in workflows and not just tasks. Because if you think like that, then you start thinking about bringing in systems and putting in systems in place in your business which can help you offload more from your plate so you can go enjoy and serve your business as a CEO. So I also have a newsletter. It's called AI for CEO, and we'll also drop the links to that. So anybody who subscribes to it, I write weekly and I give you nuggets on piece by piece how you change your mindset on why AI first workflows would make sense and why you need to start thinking like that. So every week you'll receive updates on how to do that in your own business.
There you have it, everybody. We have conversations that helps transform lives, and we sit you only at the feet of the masters. Listen, we don't ask you for cash apps, Venmos, or any of those things, but what we do ask is that you hit like and subscribe. And if you're listening on the platform, you can leave a comment. Those comments help us rank, help get these conversations into the ears of people that need them. And finally, we're revamping our website, and by the time you're listening to this, it probably is going to be live. We're going to be doing some coaching, whether it's one-on-one coaching or group coaching. We can do it online. If you're in New York, we're expanding our horizon and with mindset and mindset training. Um, and we're just excited about the ride that we're on, and we want you to be a part of it. So enjoy the rest of your day. Don't walk making excuses. Don't walk being afraid of AI. In fact, use AI in your workflows and think like an AI manager. But most of all, walk in victory. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.